to give the floor to the main executive. And we have a lot of matters to discuss, and we must do it to make our economies more efficient. There are several mechanisms. For example, my experience showed
I'd like to wrap up by saying that an important element in our relationships is the creation of the bilateral Presidential Commission. And in the framework of that commission, the creation of the economy group, which is intended to address coordination matters. Let me also refer to a certain negative comment according to which, while that group meets on an ad hoc, strictly on an ad hoc basis, while we have these meetings, we put in some effort to prepare for them, but it should be working more in order to develop constructive decisions and in order to stimulate between two countries. Thank you very much. We're very happy to welcome here Elvira Nabiulina, the Minister of Economy. But to start the debate, I'd like to recognize Mr. Somers, President of the Russian Chamber of Trade in Moscow.
And I would like to add to the list of American companies that he mentioned also Honeywell, Intel, HP, who are also here, who have expressed strong interest in the Skolkovo project. I'd like to make 3 points in terms of investment in Russia, because what we're looking for are deals, transactions, which is also the ultimate objective of the U.S.-Russia Presidential Bilateral Commission. First, I'd like to commend the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade for taking the initiative about a week ago to establish a category of key sectors where definition of local content of new manufacturing ventures will be defined in a more precise way. One of the difficulties right now for investors, foreign investors, is the rather vague definition of what is the local content required for foreign investment manufacturing enterprises. And the ministry asked AmCham to solicit from his member companies in these 12 categories or 12 sectors their opinions. We've sent them on to the ministry, and in about a week we'll be beginning with the ministry separate meetings per sector on this extremely important issue of definition of local content. Secondly, we would urge the government to essentially eliminate tariffs for the import of components of equipment, particularly where the completed product is brought in at a very low rate. We know there's a number of investors who are ready to invest significant sums in Russia, such as the electronics industry, but there's still high tariffs on the components, and it makes no sense to import a component and pay tariffs and then build a factory when the completed product can be brought in at almost no tariff. There has been some temporary relief in some sectors, but temporary relief is temporary. We're looking for solidity in terms of what are the prospects in the future. We would urge the government to look at that. A third issue is indemnification for discovering that a plot of land you bought and built a factory on has old Soviet environmentally hazardous materials. There's no protection for investors right now. Basically, the rule is when you buy the property, when you buy the land, you buy everything on the land. It could be gold that you discover, which probably won't happen, but it also could be environmental damage. And companies spend a lot of money to make sure that there is no environmental hazards in the land that they've acquired, and that delays the investment and costs a lot more money. So we would encourage the Russian government to look at some way to either indemnify investors in the future or perhaps work out some kind of 50-50 arrangement where each party would bear some of the costs. This would eliminate another uncertainty in terms of investments coming into Russia. Thank you very much.
I would like to agree with the approach just expressed by Mr. Sommer. let's avoid thanks to the government. No political comments. Please talk substantively. Elvira Nabiullina is our next speaker. She has been a permanent member of this dialogue since it started 3 years ago. And at the recent end of April meeting of Madam Nabiullina with her opposite number on the U.S. side, there were opportunities to take stock of where we are. I think this continual mode of exchange is very productive. Thank you for recognizing me as your next speaker, and thank you for the opportunity. I am happy to welcome everyone. I'm glad to see you all, and it's nice that we are discussing specific issues, but I'd like to spend a little time on the overall description of how we see the current state of Russian-American economic relations. Naturally, the United States is seen by Russia as a very special partner, which is explained by the United States' role in the world, by its investment potential, etc., etc. For our companies, of course, the U.S. market is of interest. Investment projects, joint investment projects are of specific interest. However, at this point, trade and economic relations fall far short of the scale of the two economies. The United States is number 8, ranks the 8th amongst Russia's trade partners. Trade was worth, in the Russian estimate, $18.4 billion US. Of course, due to the crisis of 2009, it suffered a 1/3 drop, and by any standards, this is not what countries should do. The trade has picked up in the first 4 months. Exports have grown. The Russian exports have grown 17%. Imports are being renewed and are seeing a 3% growth. And, of course, we are underusing opportunities in the area of investments. The overall U.S. investment in Russia amounted to $7 billion last year. Prior to the beginning of the conflict, it was $9.4 billion.